You may have noticed that sparrows seem to be everywhere, at least until recently. They're happy to live wherever people are, feasting on our discarded food and generally getting in the way. While they seem ubiquitous, sparrows aren't actually native to most of the places they're found today. So how did they get here, and why are they disappearing? It all starts with their adaptability. Sparrows can thrive in a wide range of habitats, but it's not because they're particularly good at hunting or finding food. In fact, they're pretty bad at that. What makes sparrows such successful generalists is their willingness to eat just about anything, and their ability to adapt to a wide variety of climates and environments. This has allowed them to survive in close proximity to humans for thousands of years. In many countries, sparrows have become popular cage birds. So it isn't surprising that when people traveled from Europe to Australia or North America, they brought sparrows along for the ride. In fact, Europeans are believed to have first introduced sparrows into North America in the 1850s. Although records are unclear as to whether these birds were released intentionally or escaped from a shipment. Regardless, these hardy little birds quickly became a common sight. Sparrows arrived in Australia via several different pathways. Some were released intentionally by the British as a game bird, while others stowed away on ships carrying provisions. There's even some evidence that sparrows were among the animals aboard the Mayflower when it arrived in 1620. But even though sparrows had made themselves at home in their new environments, there was one thing they couldn't handle: the native predators. In Australia, the red fox, feral cat, and dog all prey on sparrows, as do many species of Australian birds. In North America, it was a similar story. The bird's greatest natural enemy was, is, and always will be the great horned owl. Not to mention, there were plenty of predators waiting to exploit any new food source that showed up, like the American crow, Cooper's hawk, and sharp-shinned hawk. All this meant that, even though sparrows were considered pests, it wasn't really feasible to control their numbers through hunting or trapping. By the late 19th century, people started getting worried. In 1893, an article appeared in the New York Times lamenting the sparrows' apparent takeover of city streets. It warned that the birds were becoming so numerous that they would soon outnumber humans 10-1, and sure enough, their populations continued to explode. By the 1920s, it was common to see thousands of sparrows roosting together, peacefully coexisting with pigeons and the occasional rat. And of course, they were still considered a nuisance. So a new plan was hatched, one that involved killing every single sparrow in North America. The campaign began in 1927, led by the newly formed American Bird. Their strategy was simple: shoot as many sparrows as possible during their mass roosting season in the winter. This went on for 14 years, and despite the best efforts of birdwatchers and hunters alike, no significant declines were seen. But the sparrow extermination campaign wasn't completely unsuccessful. It did manage to wipe out one species of North American sparrow, the now extinct heath hen. That's because, unlike their close relatives, the ubiquitous white-throated sparrow, heath hens preferred more isolated habitats and weren't as well adapted to surviving alongside humans. After the extinction of the heath hen, the government stopped funding the extermination program in 1940, and nowadays, while sparrows are still considered pests, we mostly just put up with them. Though it turns out that might be a mistake. A recent study suggests that in some parts of North America, sparrow populations have declined by more than 30% since the 1970s. This decline seems to be driven by habitat loss due to agricultural intensification, meaning that unless things change, sparrows may disappear from their adopted home sometime in the near future. Which is too bad, because it turns out that sparrows are actually really good at reducing crop damage caused by other pests, like the notorious spotted lanternfly. So in some cases, they could save us a lot of money. Guess that's why they're called dollar birds. Thank you for watching this episode, which was brought to you with the help of our patrons. If you'd like to help us make videos about cool stuff and get cool perks in return, you can go to our support page to learn more.